Alright, so what we're going to do in this tutorial is install the vCAC Manager service. Before we do that, we want to make sure that all of our prereqs are in place and done on the server that we're going to be performing the installation on. And a great way to do that is to run this prereq checker that comes with the vCAC 5.1 installation. When you load the prereq checker, a couple of things to point out. If you are not going to be using a local SQL Express or SQL database, it's going to be remote, you can uncheck the database component. The other thing is, if you're not going to use the default website, you can go up to settings and select whatever website it is that you're going to use on your web server. Once you've done that, go ahead and run the checker. When everything comes back green, we're ready to go with the installation. If you have anything that comes back in red, you're going to want to resolve those. And when you click on the item, if it were to be in red, it would give you a description or instructions on how to resolve that over here on the right hand side. So all of our prereqs are in place. The other thing we want to make sure is that we are logged in as the service account that we're going to use for the vCAC service. The reason for that is during the install, we're going to use Windows Authentication to go out and talk to the SQL database, and we want to make sure that that account is what's being used. So let's go to our installation files. I have both here the vCAC 5.1 installation and the extensibility installation, both of which are available for download on the VMware website. For now, we're going to go in installation setups, and the manager setup is the one that we're going to install. You want to make sure that you right click, say run as administrator. Say next, accept the terms. Go find our license file. Make sure you have that readily available. Click next. Then we want to go ahead and enable the database to be installed. One thing to point out about this section is you can see it's very modularized. All of the different components for vCAC can be installed or not installed. I can break these apart and put them on other servers for either large implementations or HA installations as well. So in a larger implementation, I might have multiple web servers front-ending the website. I can deploy that on the multiple servers and front-end it with a load balancer to help carry that load. Let's choose our website that we want to install under. I'm actually going to be performing an HTTP install, so check that. And now we need to put in the information for the database server. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and click next. You can either use the default database name or pick one of your own, and then test your connection. When you see it's successful, that means that your service account has connectivity and everything's good to go. Click next. Here on the ASMAN authorization store, I'm actually going to do a file-based XML store, but if you were doing a production installation of this, you would want to choose one of the two MySQL or Active Directory stores. The authorization manager is where all of the user role information is stored. Which users have access to which roles, which permissions are associated with which roles. If you were doing any kind of HA, active passive installation, you would definitely want to use one of these two so that your ASMAN authorization store has redundancy as well. So this is the host that I'm installing on. I'm actually going to just do localhost. If you were doing an HTTPS install, you would want to put in a fully qualified domain name. The host name of your mail server, and what address you want this to show up as when people receive emails. And if you need to authenticate to your mail server to send mail, just uncheck this, put in your credentials, and you'll be good to go. Here's our service account that we're going to plug in. Now we need to put in the host for our Model Manager web service. Now again, this all comes into play if you were to break this up on the multiple servers and maybe you've already installed a component. You're going to tell it where that component's installed. But because we don't have those installed yet, and I'm doing the install all on this local machine. I'm just going to go ahead and plug in localhost. And just one more left to go here. Next, and let's go do our install. And once the installation finishes, go ahead and click Finish. I'm actually going to go ahead and open up my web browser. Get rid of that. I'm going to go to localhost/vCAC. And this is just a simple validation to make sure that everything installed properly. When the website comes up, one thing that we will notice is that there will be 2 errors about the distributed execution managers not being available. And that's what we're going to actually install in exercise 2. Here we go. Here is the web interface. And here's those 2 errors about no worker and no orchestrator dem available. But while I'm here, I'm actually going to go and add my account as an administrator. And that wraps up installing vCAC Part 1. Part 2, we're actually going to go ahead and install those distributed execution managers, so make sure you check that out as well. Thanks for